All right, guys, if you haven't figured out already by this point, we are going to be talking either a lot of Marvel or Marvel tangential stuff. And today, or this particular topic, is a Marvel tangential topic, which is, yeah, we know that we've been getting a new Star Trek film coming out fairly soon, and it is going to be directed by WandaVision's Matt Shakman. Now, Matt Shakman, if you're not already familiar with his work, he is won quite a few awards. What is it, like 12 or 13 awards for his work on WandaVision? And let's jump into the article real quick. This particular article from Deadline. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's jump in to the middle here. Deadline hears that the film will now move at warp speed and begin production next spring. So that's actually, they're getting everything starting to line into place. They have a script by Lindsay Beer and Geneva Robertson Dworet. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Significant because, you know, the first Star Trek film to be written by 100% female screenwriter. So that's kind of cool. This whole thing with Star Trek, and let's jump in here real quick. WandaVision, which was nominated for 23 Emmys. 23 Emmys under Matt Shakman's supervision there, either by directing or show running. That's impressive, you guys. That's pretty impressive. And to see his other filmography and the other things he's worked on, I know he worked on Game of Thrones for a little while. He's got some impressive credits behind him. So to see him in this kind of role, to take on his first feature film, or at least a big budget feature film with recognizable IP, the stakes are on. The stakes are on. This could swing a multitude of different ways. This could end horrifically for him, and he will be relegated back to television. But I kind of don't feel like it will. I mean, look at his track record. Look at his award nominations that he has underneath his belt. Look at the staff that he's working with. And also, let's single out WandaVision for a second. The production value of WandaVision, while yes, being on kind of a television budget, they made look really good. They made it look incredible. They made it look the way that it needed to look. It was both small when it needed to be small, and it was big when it needed to be big. And it felt that way, right? It felt that way. So Star Trek is the kind of franchise or property that needs to feel big pretty much all the time. And I feel like this is a wonderful outing for this guy to be able to accomplish the things that he needs to accomplish under the Paramount banner, under the Star Trek banner. Dominica, let me kick it over to you for a second. Are you very much how big are you? What am I trying to say here? Where do you stand with Star Trek? How do you feel about this movie coming out? And what do you think about Matt Shakman taking on the directing reins here?
First of all, I'm not really that familiar with the original Star Trek series or anything like that. It was not something that I watched, but I have watched the movies because my ex-husband was a fan of Star Trek and he wanted to watch them. So I'm like, okay, I'll come along. I thought they were good, but I don't really remember anything about them.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think probably the most exciting thing for me reading that article was reading that it's got women screenwriters. So I am excited from that standpoint. I feel like women screenwriters have been doing a really good job with these types of productions over the last few years. So that's pretty exciting for me.
I agree. There's this, there has been traditionally this feeling within Hollywood that female screenwriters write for female characters, right? We have this this Black Widow movie coming out, so we need to get a female screenwriter to write for her, which there's nothing wrong with that intrinsically. But when you look at the opposite side of things, men have been writing for women for how long now? And like, let's even the playing field. So let's break this stigma that women can't write for men. They very much can, especially with these properties and IPs that we've been growing up with for literal generations now. Why can't we break down some of these barriers? Let's. One of the things that is coming to mind is the new Creed director. Oh shoot, what's his name? Now that I want to bring it up and now that I want to talk about it, I can't think of his name. Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, this sounds really fun, really interesting. We don't really know what the story of this is going to be, but let me talk to you about Matt Shakman for a second. Based on his work, he's directed episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's directed episodes of, like I said, obviously WandaVision, Game of Thrones, and Fargo. Those are all like four heavy hitting television shows with great storytelling behind them. What do you think that we can expect in terms of storytelling from this guy in a Star Trek film?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only seen WandaVision.
Yeah, but you're aware. I mean, you're aware of Game of Thrones. You're aware of It's Always Sunny.
Yes. Well, I mean, I was really impressed with WandaVision, just in general. So, and the fact that there was a lot more like emotion behind it, right? So it would be nice to see some of that in this upcoming Star Trek film, because I think sometimes sci-fi can lack in character development and emotional stakes sometimes.
Yeah.
So it would be good to see some of that for sure.
I agree. Question is for you guys. What are your thoughts on Matt Shakman taking over the reins of the Star Trek franchise, working under J.J. Abrams, working under Paramount, by extension, working under Sony? Where does this sit with you? What kind of a job do you think that we can expect from him, from the storytelling team behind this? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Jump on down to the comment section below. Right. Caleb goes on to say, yes, I love this development. I hope it's the Kelvin timeline. I love Kelvin timeline. It goes on, give me Kelvin Picard and the Next Generation cast already. Now, Dominica, we've already talked about how much you love Star Trek. I am not, which is me being extremely facetious. I know you're not all that familiar. I'm not all that familiar with the Kelvin timeline, but if I'm understanding this correctly, and Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Kelvin timeline is the original Star Trek, from like 1968, 1969, something like that. The original Star Trek television series timeline. Am I correct? I believe that's what it is. I believe it's those stories, that timeline. Correct me if I'm wrong. Prime timeline is the main timeline. Kelvin is the 2009 movie Into Darkness and Beyond. Okay. I stand corrected. Star Trek original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and the movies before Star Trek 2009 are the prime timeline. I'm sure I knew this, but it's because I'm more of a Star Wars guy than I am a Star Trek guy. I'm sure I've been told this. I'm sure I've heard this before. And in the future, I may need future reminders. But thank you for setting me straight, Caleb. I almost called you Kelvin. Thanks for setting me straight, Kelvin. No, Kelvin timeline is the J.J. Abrams stuff. Got it. Good to know. Caleb also ends. Is that our last comment? Oh, sure is. Caleb ends by saying, and the new Paramount Plus Star Trek shows are also prime timeline. That makes sense. that makes sense because I know Picard is like it's like a standalone show. Yeah, that makes sense because Picard, Next Generation. If that's prime timeline, that makes sense. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Tony Stark's Iron Man would want you to do.